Thank you for checking out the video. As I said in my email, I am providing an update, and this one's going to be a little long because I want to give you a starting point to understand what's going on with this project. A lot of you know about this, some of you probably don't. And so for those that don't, I'll give you a quick overview of what we're going to do with this project. So back in January at the all sales meeting, we had announced to the staff that part of the project for the IT department in this upcoming year would be changing Salesforce into a better system so that we can use it with some more automated process, less duplication of data entry, while also integrating SysPro into that system. And so on top of Salesforce, we're using two new platforms called DealerTeam and FinancialForce, which is going to allow us to take the sales and service pieces and put them into the accounting piece all in one system. So that project really kicked off probably about mid-March in terms of my availability to work on it. Now I would say we're a little over halfway through the implementation of the project. We would like to be done by the end of November, how it's currently standing. Our true deadline is the end of the year. It's kind of broken down into 5 major pieces. So the first piece is researching, where we have to look at every single role in the company, figure out what their processes are, all the caveats to their processes, what forms they use, etc., and then put a actual standardized process into place so that we can have some data entry automation and other features for this new system. The second part of the project is then going and setting up all those features that we need to have. The next piece that can happen simultaneously with the setup is getting all of our data migrated over to the new system. So that is another large piece that requires us to extract the data, figure out what this data is actually, make sure we have a trail of what we're doing with it for auditing purposes, while also migrating the data into the new system and testing and making sure that that migration took place correctly. The fourth piece of the project would be testing the setup of the new system with key users, and then we would, once we get approval on that and everything looks like it's working okay, we will pilot, and our plan is to pilot in South St. Louis. And then once the pilot goes, we're going to give it about 2 weeks. If at 2 weeks we feel confident in what has happened in the last 2 weeks, there's been no major issues, we'll move forward with training every other store. If we don't feel confident, then that's the whole point of the pilot. We can identify what the issues are and work through those issues. That moves us to the next piece of training every single one of you how to use the system. And that is a piece that Christy and I will be doing, and we'll be splitting up. We'll go to each branch, take about a week at each branch, and be able to spend the first couple of days really providing you training, and then the last couple of days we're there more for support in case there's some issues that arise and you don't know how to use the system or you're confused about something. And then after that, of course, we'll be available by email and phone. To give you a little bit of an idea, the research piece is done for the most part. Obviously, there's going to be items that I do not 100% know, simply because that's just the nature of processes and understanding how they work. There's always going to be something that pops up that I was unaware of, but I would say that we're about 95% done on that piece, leaving that 5% room for any things that are unknown. The setup piece, I'd say we're probably a little over halfway through on. There's a lot of more setup that I need to do. There's a lot that has already been done, which I can provide a document with a description of kind of what that means so that you don't have to sit here and listen to every single detail if you're not interested. The data migration piece, I would say we're also about halfway through. We have all the extracts of the files. The cool thing is that what we got from SysPro are refreshable, and so we can refresh them as often as we need to get the most accurate, most recent data from SysPro up until the point where we turn it off, and then we'll always have all the data in the files that we have from SysPro. We will also be able to migrate the relevant data over to the news. The fourth major piece is piloting this and testing it out. We started the pilot, we have started testing. The testing is kind of testing this piece, does it work, yes or no? Okay, move on to this piece. And so that's just as we go, and we'll do a final testing before we pilot as well. We've been able to test the DealerTeam side a lot. We haven't been able to test the FinancialForce piece a lot, and that has to do with the integration of the two systems, which we're still on a holding status on for a little bit, and I'll explain in a second more what that is. And obviously we haven't started the training officially yet, and so we'll start at corporate so that everyone here is able to understand what's happening as we are on both systems, and then move forward that way. And you'll get more details as we are able to provide them. The project goes right now, like I said, I say we're a little over halfway through, and what that means time-wise is, if I started back in mid-March and we end of November, we're about halfway on that time frame right there. Having to redo 2 whole entire systems and integrate them together, I say this is a fast-paced project. All in all, our delays that we have experienced, so we're still on a really good time projection here. As far as the delays that we have experienced, I'd say there's 2 major reasons why we've delayed. If you weren't aware already, we had planned on piloting in July with South St. Louis, and we had to move that back. And so just so that everyone is aware, one of the main reasons is the integration piece. So we have this really cool opportunity here with the DealerTeam organization to be able to have our system be the first system that they've automated all of the updates and automated the integration piece so that whenever issues arise, we can get automatic updates with everyone else moving forward rather than manually integrating the 2 systems and then manually having to fix things when bugs occur or manually having to update the system. And this is going to work similar to like when you have Microsoft Windows updates, and like a lot of the times you don't even know that it's updating. It's just updates and it's fixing these bugs that you may not be aware of, but they are definitely bugs that if they continue could be an issue, and they're pretty quick about fixing it. So it's going to be similar benefits there, where it's a lot of behind the scenes benefit to having the automation there, but it's a really awesome piece for us, and it's going to make our lives a lot easier. It's going to make dealer teams' lives a lot easier. And in the end, you're not going to see it, but it'll make your life easier because you won't have to be dealing with bugs as often. And so that piece, because it's the first time they're doing it, took a little longer than expected, which makes sense. And so we've kind of been giving them the leeway to do what they need to do on testing that and making sure that it's right, rather than making sure that it gets done fast. And so that's one of the reasons why we had to move the pilot back is, that piece wasn't quite ready yet. So that's kind of delayed a lot of other items because we were waiting on that in order to test out the entire thing. And so it gave me opportunity to work on some other items that I need to work on anyways, so that's fine. But that would be one of the reasons. The second reason that we have been delayed would be that the time allocation that we had projected from the beginning was that I would be spearheading most of the project, basically 4 of the 5 major items, where the data migration piece would be spearheaded by Simon. Now, because of some issues with our phone systems, as you all are well aware of, it's been decided that, we really need to get off of Start and onto 8x8. And so that's something that Simon's been spearheading along with a couple other projects that the executive team have collectively decided to be Simon's priorities. Therefore, we don't have his time allocated to the data migration piece, which is a very large part of this project that is now in my bucket of responsibility. And so that's going to take a little more time away from the other pieces that I would have to implement in order to manage and complete the data migration piece. I hope that makes sense to everyone. If you have any further questions about the delays or the outline of the project or the timeline, please feel free to email me, or you can give me a call. I'd be happy to answer any questions. So this is the end of the just overview of what this project is. So now I will provide what will be the normal weekly update, which is to tell you what we've accomplished this last week and what we have kind of pending or what's blocking items. We have almost finished the integration as of this week. Yesterday we were able to test out 2 more different pieces with the integration, and there's only 2 more items left from that out of like 5 major items. So 3 of the 5 are complete as of, or in testing, I should say, as of today. We have also been able to get the product classes loaded for tax purposes. And so all of the different reasons why a product would or would not be taxed at a certain rate depending on where you live, or where the customer lives or where the store is located, all has to do with the product class currently in SysPro, and we found that that was probably the best way to move forward with the new system as well. And so that is all set up. We just need to confirm that the setup is correct based off of some things we're waiting on for DealerTeam to complete on their end of the setup, and then we can start testing that. So that happened this week. I made a lot of progress with the training documentation this week. I was able to add quite a few different pieces to the training documentation, and I feel really comfortable with where that is at right now in terms of when we are going to start training, which I did not necessarily feel at the beginning of the week, so that's a plus in the progress for this week. And we also have the initial part of the process, which is the BDC. We have their screen pretty much ready to go and to be tested. I expect to get a finalized update today, but they've been able to implement it to our needs as of this week. Quite a few items that have been completed this week, or a lot of progress that has been made on them. As far as delays, we're still waiting for the 2 other items for the integration to be complete so we can test them out. I am waiting on an update on the tax to make sure that they have their piece set up so that we can test that out. So I hope this was a helpful update. I plan on making these a little bit more interesting moving forward, and I hope you all have a lovely weekend.